I'm an advocate, and I guess I've always been one, whether it was standing up for the kid who was being bullied in elementary school or later a child who had no one. But every October for the past 11 years, I've had the opportunity to stand on a stage and advocate for a very special group. Today is October 21st, and this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I've always thought that my job was to answer questions and help people understand, but I found myself answering the same questions over and over again, sometimes to the same people. Why does she stay? Why does this happen? And after a decade, I looked into their eyes and I thought, they don't get it. And then I realized, you know what? My job isn't to help you understand. Understanding is a cerebral thing. And most people do understand. They know the dynamics, they understand the facts, but they don't believe that it's happening. Believing takes a conversion. It's that moment in your mind when you think what you think shifts and it goes into what you believe and what you feel in your heart. For me, that moment of conversion came when I met a young woman who'd been held captive in a trailer in the woods by her abuser for 10 years. She asked me who the president was and what year it was. And my brain screamed, you know, she's got to be crazy because things like this don't happen to real people. That day my world shattered and I believed her. And I want you to believe that monsters walk among us. You don't recognize them because they're cloaked in a persona of someone that you know and like. This man is a monster. He walked into his home and killed his wife, his children, and the family dog. And then he wrote a note saying that he had done the crime and he killed himself. He was a monster. She had called 911 repeatedly and asked for help, but no one came. There's absolutely nothing I can do to help you understand why this man killed these babies. Nothing. I know because for the past decade, I've tried. It was very planned. It was deliberately carried out. And that makes this so hard to believe and to understand. We don't want to believe that monsters are people that we know, but they are. You think you know them. They're your neighbor, your pastor, your kid's little league coach. You think you know them, but they really don't know who they are. And so what happens is when they commit an act of violence, when they abuse someone, you try to come up with an alternative explanation. And it's really kind of simple. We blame the victim. She's an adult. She should have left. Wait a minute, he's bigger than her. He can't be a victim. Well, she must have done something to piss him off. She had to have deserved it. Just check out the comments anytime a celebrity is arrested, and you'll see all kinds of attempts to justify the black eye or the broken jaw. And monsters, well, they thrive in silence and in darkness. But even when there are eyewitnesses or videotape that we can see over and over again, we still don't believe what we're seeing. We tell ourselves that she drank too much or she spit on him. What do you think? Did she deserve to be raped behind a dumpster or hit so hard she was knocked unconscious? We have to believe that abusing someone, especially someone that we say that we love, is wrong, because it is. Male or female, it doesn't matter. It's wrong, and it doesn't matter what the excuse is. We all have to believe in that one basic fact. And understanding why she stays isn't going to help you believe her anymore, because you're not going to understand unless you've been there, trapped, alone, thinking no one is going to believe or help you. You will never understand the terror, the helplessness, and the fear. So don't try to wrap your brains around it. All you need to know is it's not her fault. And this is a public health crisis in the United States. The number one reason that pregnant women die isn't complications from childbirth. It's being murdered by their husbands or their boyfriends. And when 27 million women respond to a tweet within 24 hours about their first sexual assault, I don't know how you can say this is anything but epidemic. And it doesn't just affect people in relationships. Terrorists are not the ones committing mass murder in this country, it's abusers. And when it is a terrorist, they almost always have a history of domestic violence. Being an abuser is a key indicator in committing mass murder, making it a public national security risk. And as much as we want to believe it's all her fault, we also want to desperately believe that the system works, but it doesn't. We spend tens of millions of your tax dollars every year arresting abusers and letting them go. And all it does is tell them that they can get away with it. And it tells the victim that they were right. No one cares. And the system consistently blames the victim for its failure. Who wants to testify against someone who knows where you live, where your parents live, and who's threatened to kill you. When the system fails, we have failed them, not the other way around. It's not their job to bring the person to justice and to hold them accountable. And we have to tell victims that it's okay to ask for help. We believe you. And when they do ask for help, we actually have to give it to them. Not just stick them in a shelter for 90 days and tell them they need to figure it out. All we have to do is reach out our hand. They risk death if we fail them. And there really just aren't any easy answers, but I do know this. I can't be the only one standing on the stage, and we can't look to one nonprofit for all the solutions. We have to agree that we're not going to tolerate the abuse and the excuses anymore. We have to drag the monsters out into the light and rip off their masks. People are dying while we sit around and try to come up with explanations that make sense. Are we going to continue to blame an innocent victim because the monster that hurt them is someone that we respected? Are we going to let other people do that? Well, there's only two choices. What type of person do you want to be? Someone who believes that this is wrong and someone who makes excuses. For me, I believe. And I'm going to stand on every stage that I can, and I'm going to tell every person that will listen that we can make a change for the better. And I'm going to fight with my last breath to make sure that my daughter doesn't become a statistic like I did. And not just because she's my daughter, but because she's like this little girl. She's a human being, and her life matters.